The hardest thing I learned at Full Sail, the necessity for efficiency. Like a lot of people, when you go on like their short films and stuff that haven't gone to film school, it's like you're there for hours. You don't really get a lot done, and they're all focused on getting it right. At Full Sail, they teach us like, okay, you ever shoot today? You have 12 hours. You have to get 48 shots. They all have to be properly lit, and after 12 hours, we kick you out. Like that's how it really is when you shoot on a location. You can't overstay your welcome. You have to be able to work quickly.
So what do you say to people then? Because you said it yourself, like you don't need to go, but you found it to be such a valuable experience.
I think that there are, like, it's hard to say because I really did value my experience there, but I do think that it doesn't have to be the way that I learned. I mean, that's just the way I like and I fell in love with. But if you have a camera, you have some lights, you have a bunch of friends who are willing to help you out, like you can make your own movies and you can rewrite the playbook yourself. There's no right way to make a movie.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Poorly Edited Podcast. We're live on WXLV The X, Poorly Edited Podcast, the show where we put a spotlight on the most creative minds we can find, the very best we can, as a bunch of college students.
You messed it up. Not very well.
I'm really sorry, Pat. You want to roll from the top? You want to play the intro music again?
Let's run it back.
All right, so we're live on WXLV The X, iHeartRadio. We're live like a week in the future on YouTube, I think. So I hope that's going well for everybody. My name's Coffee Guy.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm not normally here.
My name's Patrick Lilly.
We also have Kenny Unangst here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I heard you saying you're looking for creative minds. I know I'm just a fill-in. You're supposed to have someone else. Yeah. So I hope I live up to that.
Thank you for understanding. I appreciate it on such a
I'm not
short
sure if
notice.
I'm a creative mind, but I'd like to believe that.
I don't want to insult anybody. You're actually half a fill-in. Josh is the other half a fill-in.
Yeah,
together you make one fill-in.
Yeah.
We're one fill-in together.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, cool.
Together we make one competent film major.
It takes two to make a thing go right.
Ooh. Oh, man. Why don't we start playing that in intro? Let's play some like old 80s disco
what did you
stuff.
say? I missed
It's
it.
not
What you
worth
said?
repeating.
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually that funny. So we did so much stuff yesterday. Let's start off with the big one that I think it was really like so many people were kind of there and looking forward to it and stuff. And it was like this big thing, like an implosion, if you will.
I heard it really went down yesterday.
Yeah, no, Game of Thrones ended and it was just awful. Apparently everybody hated it. So
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. I was talking about Martin Tower, so thanks for appreciating my joke. There was a lot of laughter here at the studio. Yeah, they tore down Martin Tower.
Which gets funnier the more I learn about Martin Tower.
Why?
It seems like there was a bunch of people there to just watch it fall because they hated working there.
Yeah.
There was multiple accounts of that.
That's incredible. That's like the dream. Can you imagine hating your job and then having the opportunity to watch it get torn down?
That's actually amazing. Exploded, no less.
Yeah.
Imploded.
Yeah, there's a lot of hate watching for sure
going
on that day.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was just cool. Like we all woke up really early and then went to like the distant reaches of the Lehigh Valley to capture it at different angles.
The great kingdom of Bethlehem.
Yeah. It was really fun. We got some really great footage. I can't stop watching it. Like everybody has footage. I keep watching everybody's stuff and it's so cool, but it's like not even close to what it was actually like to watch it. I never thought I would see such a huge building get torn down like that. I had no idea what to expect and it was nuts.
It must have been way louder in person.
Oh, it was really
crazy.
loud. It was really funny. I was saying this before the show. I was alone with Dan and Dan Lee, the famous Lab 212 fan.
Yeah.
And he's talking, he's carrying it on, being Dan. And he's like, they're not going to blow it up anymore. And then there was just this huge series of bangs. Yeah. And he just shut up. And then it just fell. It was nuts.
It was powerful. I don't think I've ever seen an explosion like that. I've never seen fireworks, but like it was crazy. Me and Josh were 2 miles away on a parking garage and we still heard it. And we still did we feel it? Did you think we felt it?
I thought we were going to
get it right up on that mic, Josh.
Did you feel it?
Get right in there.
Did you feel it emotionally too?
Yeah, I felt it in my gut.
Were you like, I never worked there, but I'm still glad it's getting torn.
I'm glad I never
pretty
worked
much.
there.
It's amazing how like even though I had no emotional tie to it, I was like, yeah, when I went down, I was like really into it.
Dude, when we got there, it was like me. I was standing there with Josh at like 5 a.m. and there was like 10 people there already, including us for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
And I was like, dude, I think people are gonna clap. I don't know why people are gonna clap, but it's gonna explode and fall down, and people are gonna clap.
It's basically
And then
of course. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm thinking like 30% of people are gonna
Yeah.
clap, and then about 30% of people clapped
You nailed
afterwards
it.
for some reason. And it's like clapping at the end of like a movie in a theater. I'm like, who is it for?
It was a really odd experience because like we got there super early, like Matt, like way too early.
Right up on that
for our
mic,
judge.
Judge. Right up on that mic.
We got there really early
Why
yesterday.
don't you get quiet?
You're a little out of the pickup pattern there.
We got there like super early, and there were already like 10, 11 people there who I don't know when they got there, like 3 a.m. Who knows? But as the morning progressed, a crowd began building to a size that I didn't even think was possible for something like the implosion of a building. But before we knew it, like when 7 o'clock rolled around and when Martin Tower did go off, there was like 100 people on the level that we were on. It was
Easily. Probably more.
lot of people, probably
Probably
more.
like 200.
There was an actual crowd for this. And then at the end of it, I would say about 30% of them clapped because we're Americans. So,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, when an office is built specifically so every executive can have a corner office, you're not going to be too sad when it goes down.
Yeah, it's that was also really funny to
That's
learn
all
about.
I know about it.
Which is so funny. It's like the point where like, the executives get together and they're like, we got to build this building, but we all want to be in corner offices. So how are we going to do
They're
this?
like, no, I want a corner office. I want a corner office.
That's
Fine, let's
going
build
to
it so
be
everyone
us.
can have one.
That's actually going to be us. So
Except we're just going to have one room. So we all get
It's
one
gonna be
corner.
a mini
So we
Martin
each get a
Tower.
corner office, but it's just each get the corner of one room.
I think it was like MRS or somebody made that was like the HQ for Marty headquarters. And like once that goes down, it just doesn't have Wi-Fi anymore.
Yeah, the the much hated Marty robot that
Right?
runs around
Yeah,
Giants.
the bane of our existence.
Also, me and Josh got this. For some reason, we saw a well-dressed bald man exit a building and then start digging through a trash can.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as a joke, I'm like, that's George Hrab, right? Who was our guest like 2 weeks ago. He's a really cool guy. He's got a podcast called the Geologic podcast. And I'm like, there's no way that's him because why would he be digging around a trash can at 5 a.m.? And then later on, we were at breakfast at the Bethlehem Diner. And I was like, please text him because on the off chance that it would be him digging through a trash can. And it turned out it was, which didn't make
He
any sense.
says it's him. And that first text he
he,
sent,
like-
I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
He's just
Accidentally like throw away his keys.
It's
his
his wallet.
apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you almost nailed it.
He just gave like too many details out.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's clearly messing with us, but I don't know anymore. I don't actually know.
Except he's like, yeah, that was me. And then Chandler's like, it wasn't you. And he's like, no, it was. Like, it was such a bizarre day.
And it was
Like,
insane because it was like so early.
right up
too.
on that
It was
mic.
like
Right up on that mic.
it was like 6 a.m. It
Yeah.
was like even before that probably. And George Hrab just walks up to a community trash can and is digging through it alone. There's no one else in the street.
Yeah, it
That's
also
the
wasn't
funniest
like at
thing.
the end of a driveway or anything.
No,
it was
no.
the trash can.
It was
in the
a
middle
public
of the
trash
street.
can.
Yeah. There's something special about waking up that early that like anything seems possible. The world's a
No,
much more magical
dude,
place.
No,
it's like a new society just comes
Yeah.
out that early.
Because you get out on the road and there's no one around. You see like people with like
You can just
stoplights
stop
maybe.
on the highway and just like hanging out.
Yeah, I don't know why you do that, but yeah, you can.
maybe if you're
I know
doing
Sony
something
did.
fun.
Really?
Yeah, they posted their story one time and there's like chilling, sitting on top of their car in the middle lane of a highway.
That's
and there's no
pretty
one
funny.
there.
Did he have his blinkers on at least? I would have been scared
No.
to do that.
Oh no,
geez,
that's actually
man.
kind of scary.
It's nuts. Yeah. So then we waited like an hour to get out of that parking lot. Well, I don't know what it was like for you guys.
I was out of there, dude.
Oh, no, we were just literally just in a car for like an hour to the point where like Chandler and I got out of the cars while we were in line and we were just talking to each other. And then his slowly started moving. I'm like, you got to go back. Dude. I think
then
we're
we-
actually getting out of here.
Me and Josh immediately left the parking garage and we drove to Denny's, which is the designated meeting spot. Because where else are you going to go after Tower explodes?
Josh texted us and he's like, I'm here. And I'm like, that's not good news, dude. We're like a half hour out at least before we start moving.
Yeah, and then apparently everyone else had the same idea we did, which I didn't see coming, honestly.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't. I
Well,
mean,
lesson learned.
I guess I get like an after like church maybe diner thing, except it was like 8 a.m. And
I think that
everyone
was a religious experience to those people who had to work there.
we showed up at Denny's and they're like, yeah, we have 2 servers right now for some reason, so it's going to be like 20 minutes. And then 40 minutes later, everyone else showed up and we still weren't seated. And then MRS walked over to the Bethlehem Diner and was like, can we sit here? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be like 5 minutes though. I'm like, all right. So then we left Denny's and went to a different diner and got seated faster somehow.
I don't think it helped our case either, though, that I walked up to the Denny's person and was like, oh, table for 10, please. She almost had like a heart attack right there. And first of all, my number was wrong because I was like on something apparently that morning. But second of all, they only had like 2 servers, so it was a pretty horrible time for us to
And then
approach.
somehow we all split off and did our own adventures. What did you do yesterday, Kenny?
Oh, what did I do yesterday?
Anything fun?
Nothing really. Like I just went to church.
All right.
Then I went home and just
That's exciting, dude.
edited,
That's exciting.
exported 4 videos and watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Should we go? I mean, do you want to guys?
Sorry,
talk
it's
about,
not an interesting day.
I'll talk about
You're
Game of
fine. Yeah, I want to talk about Game of Thrones in a little bit.
Okay.
But you guys went to New York, right? Right? I wasn't there, so you guys could have done anything. I wouldn't know.
I went to work. I didn't do
Oh,
anything.
that's
I would
right.
have gone to New York
You
if I was
did.
available.
But Josh, Lizzy, Chandler, MRS, you guys, you filled up some air in MRS's car, so that was pretty cool.
Yes, yep, we wanted to maximize the air fillage.
Yes,
in
and you
MRS's
looked like
car.
Vin Diesel because you had those sunglasses on.
Oh yeah. I had
Shade
the
head now?
aviator shades. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I just look like a homeless man.
Yeah.
Now I just look like a homeless man.
So why'd you guys go? Like, what were you doing? What was the plan? What ended up happening?
We went to 368 on Broadway to David Dobrik's pop-up shop. It was pretty weird.
And
I
368
talk
being, in case you guys don't know, Josh, I figure you can take this away. You know better than anyone.
368 is Casey Neistat.
Yes, it is.
Is Casey Neistat's like community studio, for lack of a better word, a conglomerate. It's a
Every time he explains it, I'm still confused.
yeah, it's like a really interesting idea. Basically, he's been in that building for like 10, 11 years with his own personal studio, and he bought the floor below him, is my understanding, or like adjacent to him rather, and turned it into like a community arts studio, so people can go there and use like higher tech equipment or open spaces to finish like a movie they're working on, or like record a podcast or what have you. In this case, it was a retail pop-up for David Dobrik's merch and kind of like the David Dobrik store experience. But
So is it
yeah.
like David Dobrik's store now?
No.
it just for like a couple days.
Okay.
It was like a pop-up, so they set up everything, and then by Sunday night probably they had everything torn down.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool idea, and it's been working for him so far. It's really kind of brought people to New York. It's really brought people to New York and kind of centered people around the arts more even than previously I think they had. So it's pretty cool.
We waited 3 hours in line to get into that shop. Yeah. And then
It
we
was
didn't
hot.
buy anything.
Yeah, but no one bought anything.
You said it was like there was a sweatshirt and joggers, and the joggers were $50, and the sweatshirt was an unknown amount of price.
I saw that the
Like, you
joggers
don't
were
even
$50, and then I was like, I don't even care what the sweatshirts are.
I'm not buying this. I'm probably not buying the other thing I didn't want anyway.
Honestly, for me, in their defense, I had a great time just experiencing it because it was a really like aesthetically pleasing pop-up. Like there was like neon lights, and it was really, really conducive for like the space that they were in. Granted, no purchasing or meeting anybody or anything, but it was cool just to kind of be there and take it in. It was like in a very alive experience, if that makes any sense.
I did catch a glimpse of him. He was leaving as we were standing in line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and all the girls just chased his car, and I saw his shadow through the tinted windows. You know, does that count?
You saw
I don't know
his
if that counts.
I saw
shadow.
his like outline. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna say that counts just
That
for your own
counts. Okay,
sake.
that counts.
We have a Dobrik sighting. It happened.
Did you guys do any like New York street stuff? Like wander around and get some pop-up food from places?
We went to Chipotle.
Wow. Okay.
then-
Is that like a native
then-
New York thing I haven't heard about? Or okay.
But then one of David Dobrik's friends came in.
And you saw his shadow.
No, I saw his full
Wow,
body.
We just kind of awkwardly looked at him
Yeah,
as he walked
and
in.
no,
made
Chandler went, hey, like he saw him out the window, and I turned around and I was like, hi, and I just waved at him, and I just waved first, and I was like, nobody can see me, and then he was like, hey, and that was kind of the end of it.
It's a great impression. So we have an in with David Dobrik now, is what you're saying.
Basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Zach, yesterday was your birthday. This is a lot happened
they
yesterday.
blew up Martin Tower
Yeah,
on my
for-
birthday,
yeah.
which is like the coolest
That was
thing
his candle.
ever. Yeah.
You should have had like a Martin Tower cake that you guys could tear
that you
down
just
afterwards.
kick.
Yeah.
I just put a firecracker in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys went to New York. Sam and I went and saw a Phillies game, and I initially had a lot of sunburn on my arms, but it's like gone or like mostly gone or
Did the
tan
Phillies,
already.
the
or
Phillies
something
win?
like that. Phillies won, yeah. The Phillies, I've been going to Phillies games for like over 10 years, and they haven't won at a game that I've been at since 2011, so that was pretty cool. A couple home runs and stuff. Spent a bunch of money on water and ice cream. I dropped Sam's ice cream, which is just a classic, like...
It's a classic ballpark blunder.
Yeah, dude. Of course, we were surrounded by people, and she's like, "My ice cream," and I'm like, "I can't believe this is happening right now, dude."
Sounds like you really dropped the ball.
Yeah, I really dropped the ball. It's nice. Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. We actually had to leave early. It was just that hot. We had seats that were just directly under the sun.
You got the sun seats.
It actually
There's actually a
moved.
magnifying glass
Yeah,
above those.
and as we moved across the sun's orbit, so did our seats. So we were just in direct sunlight the whole time.
they were on
It
a
was awful.
track and they just went around the stadium.
Yeah, it was bad. And then, we went to the Cheesecake Factory and got some good food, and I had some good cheesecake, and then I went home and continued to sweat. And then that was kind of the conclusion. It was fun. It was good. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
I had a great time at work. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Phenomenal.
Pat, how was work? Tell me all about it.
Sucked.
Yeah? How was Marty?
Terrible. Actually, Marty wasn't that annoying yesterday. I don't want to talk about Marty
Yeah.
anymore. We're gonna break. I'll be right back. And actually talk about movies and stuff.
Cool.
Or will we?
Who's introing?
Yep. Okay.
And we're back with the Poorly Edited Podcast. We're gonna talk about Game of Thrones.
Wow, look at that energy, Pat. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to call Chandler.
Don't get used to it.
Okay.
So it was, how long has it been running? 10 years now or something?
8 years.
8?
Wow.
So
I
it's
thought,
season
wasn't
eight,
there a
right?
huge, wasn't there like 2 year gap between? I don't know.
No.
Let's reflect.
All right, whatever.
Real quick. Let's reflect on that time. That's been a long time, all right?
Okay.
Close to a decade.
I was
right?
11 when no, just kidding. I was still going the 10-year thing. I was 13 when it started.
George Martin still has not released a book throughout that entire time. So
Oh,
it's
the
actually
Winds of Winter.
been 20 years and 2 books, roughly, almost.
Seriously?
That's actually not true. It's like 15 or something like that.
It takes like 6 or 7
And
years between a book.
If you want to be really cynical about it, you could say it was one book with the ending cut off because the last 2 books covered the same period of time. It's just told between 2 different
really?
groups of characters.
Well, it's not entirely simultaneously.
No, it's not.
It's like A Feast for Crows is like 3/4 of A Dance with Dragons told from a different perspective. But once you're reading A Dance with Dragons and it starts to include the characters from that other book, you're like, oh, it's caught up.
Yeah.
And then it just builds up this big cliffhanger, and then no one's a winner yet.
And then we had the series finale of Game of Thrones, which people seem mad at. I don't think you can end Game of Thrones and people not be mad
Yeah.
just by the nature of the series.
I think it kind of also depends on where your expectations are at. Maybe your understanding of like what's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
maybe.
I went in. I'm like, I know how the rest of the season's been. From where they ended the last episode, I think this can still be a decent finale. I'm like, I just want some closure. I just don't want to be angry, and I got that, so I'm not mad.
I'm not like angry, but I'm not going to go into any spoilers. But I feel like this whole season, like what happened in the season, I thought worked very well. But I feel like everything was rushed. I felt like some characters' nature was changed inexplicably. Some arcs were betrayed. So it's more, my problem's with the execution of what they did, not what they did.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you said it was rushed. Do you think that had to have had something to do with the fact that it was shorter than the regular season?
They should have made it 10 episodes.
I don't know why they didn't. People have been theorizing that it's because there's a Star Wars project that they got hired on, so you're rushing to end this. I don't
Might have been.
I don't know if those timelines
And they keep
line
making,
up though.
keep making mistakes. So we had 3 episodes in a row with a mistake. We had
Yeah, that
a
was pretty-
Starbucks coffee
Yeah.
cup.
Last night had a water bottle in it.
Yes, and between that on the Bells episode, if you look at Jamie's hand at one point, it's not gold. It's humans.
It's not
just
really.
an actual
His hand just grew
That's
back for
really
one
funny.
shot.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, it is fantasy, so anything could
The
happen.
script suit must have just quit.
Yeah.
I think the first half though is really beautifully shot. I like the aesthetic a lot of the first half of last night.
Oh, I think it's been shot amazingly
Yeah.
this season. Like the cinematography has only improved as the seasons have gone on. I just
For
felt
sure.
like the writing.
There was just
the
this really
issue.
cool like Dark Souls vibe yesterday. Which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh
at
yeah,
all.
I
the first
can
half, at
see
least.
that.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
that's immediately what I thought of, and I'm like, I want to tell Chandler about this, but I also don't want to spoil anything if he ever plans on watching it. I don't know.
I felt like the Long Night also had a Dark Souls vibe, specifically the Tomb of Giants, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's like so dark you need like a specific torch to get through.
Yeah, I hate that part. It sucks. So how do you really? So this has been going on for 8 years. This season hasn't been great. There's been some definite problems with it.
It hasn't lived up to the past seasons.
But there's still like 7 good. I don't know. Do you like it when people they're like there's 7 good seasons? I mean, arguably 7 good seasons, and then there's the 8th season that they don't really execute
I would
very
say
well.
4 good seasons.
All right, there's 4 good seasons.
That's about when I stopped.
It started going downhill.
Do you think that invalidates the rest of them? Because people are like,
Oh,
that
no.
I saw a tweet last night that was like, I just wasted the last 8 years of my life, which first of all doesn't make any sense.
You can't say
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
a very reactionary
it's-
and just kind of dumb thing to say.
It's not your story. It's going to be how they end it. You can argue that the ending was not great, but you can still enjoy everything before that. And there's still a lot of good aspects of this season, not just bad. Like I felt like I liked the last portion of the newest episode where it kind of shows where things are going to go. I thought that was entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. And I liked some of the last shots were actually really cool. I thought it portrayed everything really nicely that they were working towards.
I still want to know what happened with the donkey and the honeycomb on the brothel.
There's a joke that Tyrion starts like 3 times and never finishes,
Oh, that's rough.
and they tease it.
Yeah, so like that kind of brings up the discussion because this always happens, with really popular shows that go on for such a long period of time.
Lost.
Well, I was actually thinking about that coming in, and because that's one that I watched, that was really big. Maybe not Game of Thrones big, but Lost was a big deal. And then, that kind of just got progressively crazier and crazier, and a lot of people dropped off, and definitely had a weird last episode. Like, so what is it about this that this just always happens where people hate the last episode or the last season or whatever? Is it just hard to do an ending, or is there something off with people's expectations?
With the ending, you need payoff. Like the thing about Lost was it was so interesting in the beginning because it kept asking all these questions. What's going on in this island? Who is that thing? That smoke we're seeing?
And
Who's
they
that
had
guy?
no idea.
And they themselves had no
Yeah.
idea. They're like, we'll figure it out later. But then when it came down to it, they had to start coming up with answers, and then the answers weren't really as good as the questions. That's always the really tricky part with an ending, is you have to kind of come up with an ending that answers it in a brilliant way. And you have to set up different questions than like for a series finale than a season finale. Because immediately after following Game of Thrones, I watched the season finale for Barry, which I love. And I just started
that
the
was
show.
crazy. Like this season 2 finale was crazy, but it set up questions for the next season. And I'm like, why was that better than Game of Thrones? But then I'm like, it also had way more weight. Game of Thrones had way more weight and stuff on it, and it couldn't take the liberty of going a direction in the story that needed more payoff that they couldn't deliver really.
Well, it was allowed to, a season finale is allowed to ask more questions, and that really creates excitement. But with a show, you have to bring it to a swift.
That's what I'm getting. It's
conclusive
like
end,
what?
Yeah.
It's really weird because then people who have been doing really well on season finales were like they can just set up stuff. It's like once they can't set up stuff anymore, then they kind of blow it, which I feel like happens a lot with season or series finales.
I feel like there's also something to be said for an audience's love for mystery. That's one thing that I've realized over the span of watching like a ton of shows end is, and you guys sort of alluded to it, like season finales are great because they can ask more questions of the answer, and that's interesting, and people are like, oh, I wonder what that means, and they get excited. But when a show ends, they need to answer the questions, and even if they don't answer it, even if they answer it well, there's still a little bit of a void left because everything's been answered. There's no more mystery. There's no more luster kind of there anymore. And so I feel like even if you end a show well or a movie well or a series well, there's something there that I think in all of us, there's like a desire for more. There's a desire for us to have more unknown, because I think deep down we all love the mystery of trying to figure it out,
Yeah. Like when you're writing a story, it has to be like a maze that you want your audience to unravel, and the harder it is, the more interested it is. But once you get to the point where, okay, we need to make this maze solved, it's like it's very tricky to keep up how you did it before.
It's hard to do, and even if you do it well, sometimes that's not even enough, just because of that need for.
It's also
I want to know.
You can't, even if your season finale is bad, you can still make it up the next season.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
You can't with a series finale. Like it's over. You can't do anything else with what you said. With what you did, it's everything you do has to stand on its own.
I think another thing Game of Thrones is struggling with is the amount of fans who have been coming up with layers and layers of theories about what was going to happen, and you can't satisfy them all. Like you can't have all the theories come true.
It has been a big, I agree though that at some point, if there's like that many theories, that I think would have been cooler to see on screen. Like even like obviously it's their show and they can do whatever they want with it, and fan theories are fan theories, and some of them don't even make any sense. But people just want to see it.
Can we talk about wacky Game of Thrones theories?
Sure, dude. If you have some.
Oh yeah, do you know about the one of Tyrion being a time traveling fetus?
No.
What?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, this is what happens when you don't get another book for 15 years. You get to the point where people find evidence and they don't actually believe it, but they just piece together these little things.
There's like the Jar Jar's a Sith Lord theory.
Right. It's kind of like that, where it's like there's some, I don't know it inside
There's some
and
people who
out.
legitimately believe that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is that Tyrion was Dany and Khal Drogo's baby, and that it doesn't actually die and a portal opens up and he gets shot into Casterly Rock and back in time. So that's what happens.
How did Joanna Lannister die? Did like the portal cut her in half?
I don't know. I don't think it's actually. There are also theories out there about, and I don't particularly believe them, but there is some evidence to suggest that Tyrion isn't actually a Lannister.
Oh, the theory he's a Targaryen?
Sure, I think it's probably something like that. We don't have enough secret Targaryens in the Song of Ice and Fire world.
Did you read the books?
Yeah.
Oh, so you know about the other one?
Seen the show.
Well, the other one.
Yeah. So should we talk about that? Like, what do you think that he's Well, I think the theory is that he's a Blackfire, right?
It could be.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. I really have to go back and read A Dance with Dragons again.
Yeah, I'm excited to do a reread.
I kind of rushed through it to get ready for that season, and I think I skipped over a lot. Like there were parts where I'm like, this chapter's boring.
Do you have any crazy Game of Thrones theories that didn't come true? I guess
there was like
I was hoping that. Is it a spoiler to say this one?
Yeah, right. I don't want to really spoil the last season at all. I mean, I don't know. There's like.
There's Bolt On, where Roose Bolton is actually
a White Walker.
Yeah, no, that he's actually. Geez, I'm trying to get this right, but the idea is that like the heir kills Roose and then like tears off his face and puts it on and just lives like crazy stuff that doesn't actually make any sense along the lines of
like in the like Arya Stark kind of way where she can become people.
Not,
or like
maybe kind of. But and it's called Bolt On.
That's pretty funny. Yeah,
like apply directly to the forehead.
Is there
sort of thing?
So people kind of mad about that finale. Is there a finale you guys really felt like, even movie finale kind of thing? Is there anything that very satisfied?
Avengers Endgame.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's true. Ooh, that's a good one.
I think that
I've been meaning to watch that because I just hear
really
things
good
all the time.
Mine probably be first thing that pops in my head is Return of the King. Okay. So the ending's pretty great. And it goes on for like 30 minutes, and it's still all good.
And when you said movies, you're talking about movie series, or just how a movie ends really well?
I guess it could be standalone movies, too.
I think Lock, Stock ended pretty well.
Well, I think standalone movies is easier, though.
Yeah.
Right? Not that it's easy to write a good ending.
Because you set everything up, and the stakes are there for it to be finished by one big event.
Because this problem always occurs with TV shows or like maybe long series of movies.
So there's always that middle movie problem where you have to answer some questions, set up some questions, but you can't do too much of both.
Does Return of the Jedi end well? I don't really even remember.
I think it did. Like
it ends on a really small scale, though.
Yeah.
It's like, we did it. Let's party with Ewoks. And then it's
I mean, who doesn't want to party with Ewoks?
Don't worry about the song. We'll change it later. It'll be better.
We'll take out whatever actor that was and put Hayden Christensen there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did they do that?
Yeah, they did. You didn't know that?
No.
You should go back and watch. There's a ton of great changes, dude.
I really
check it out.
I really wish as a part of his Disney deal, they couldn't go back and re-release the originals. He was like, no, my latest versions are final.
That was part of the deal?
It was, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, man. Come on, George.
Wow. Even in that moment where he's willing to like give everything up and he knows they're probably going to make movies.
Yeah.
Don't touch my changes.
It's like, these are perfect. I guess Breaking Bad has to be said in this discussion anyway.
I thought Breaking Bad was okay.
I thought it was, I liked it.
I felt like the show kind of lost its real excitement when Gus was gone, and I think the Nazis really lived up to it.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but I don't know. I think it was a good ending for the series.
It was a good ending for the characters, though.
Yeah. There's like so much that goes into, I don't know. I think people especially lately with Game of Thrones, people ignore a lot of, like, I feel like they ignored a lot of this season that was good. Not necessarily overall, but like at certain aspects, people just kind of ignore because the story they don't like anymore.
I loved episode 2, like where they're all just hanging around the fire.
That was like really cool. Yeah, and it was really, that was pretty well written too, which is actually
like reminded me of like Mass Effect for a second there.
It was when you get back from a mission, you have to go talk to all the NPCs, see your relationship with them.
Like the Citadel DLC where you're just hanging out with your crew and they know it's a goodbye DLC.
That was really, dude, that was weird because that's really well written too. Like all the dialogue is really good, and that's like people's main issue with this season is the writing.
Well, the dialogue was written great. I think the like maybe action lines or arcs, but like just like how characters are acting. But I thought like the dialogue was still very true to them.
Yeah,
that sounds like an issue with, because I've heard of a lot of writers, Kevin Smith.
Josh, right on that.
Sorry. I've heard of a lot of writers, like Kevin Smith being one of them, who write primarily sort of in dialogue format. And so it makes me wonder if like it wasn't a writing problem, more of a direction problem.
Well, I mean, when the directors are doing it, they're hired. They're there to just make sure the performances match the scripts.
Right.
But I would say maybe like the producers and how they structure the story and just how the writers have to fill in those gaps.
Okay. Just kind of on the fly even maybe.
Yeah. Like I don't know how exactly the story production came about with the writers, if it was a writer's room with the producers there, or if they had their own, able to do what they want. But yeah, I don't know. It's whoever was coming up with the overall scheme of things and just how rushed they put it into that schedule was the one I think that really kind of brought on a lot of other people's complaints.
All right. Well, yeah. That's any final words about Game of Thrones as a whole? Anybody?
Valar Morghulis.
Is it still? Do you think it's still worth watching the entire thing?
Oh yeah,
even with this ending. I'd agree.
I mean, if you want to stop after season 4, that's fine. But watch up to season 4.
I mean, I think
Oberyn Martell
you
is
should,
the best character in the show.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Give the books a shot, people.
Oh, read the books.
I have to read the books still too. I'm guilty.
You're like, I hate being that guy. It's like, oh, the books are better, but like you're just doing yourself a disservice. If you enjoy reading, give it a shot.
Oh yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your newsfeed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant. And we're back. We're
gonna clap. Is that what that was?
No.
Do you want to?
What?
It's like the people for the...
It looked like you were going to clap for a second.
No, I'm just nervous.
We just wanted to tell you, Pat, you're doing a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate it.
That's more love than I usually get.
I thought we were clapping because Pat was going to be imploded, but
we could make it happen.
okay.
We have, have another tower destruction?
Yeah.
Pat is a tower.
Yeah, I am a tower. I might as well be. So I have this is going to be a callback a little bit. So Josh, his original episode was episode 2, I think, of the Poorly Edited Podcast. You said Speed Racer was the best movie you've ever seen in your life. Would you like to formally retract that statement, or do you want to double down?
I'm going to double down. I'm going to double
Why?
down. You heard it here first. I'm going to double down. Okay, so let's get one thing straight. Speed Racer is a visual mess. It looks really insane.
Then I can't watch
but
it.
you still
it hurts your head to watch
so even
it.
you can admit that, but still maintains the best movie you've ever seen in your life.
I think from the standpoint, and again, okay, you have to understand
Is it
too
the story standpoint?
Yeah, from a story standpoint, because I grew up watching the original like manga.
So if I like turn the
Speed Racer.
TV off but keep the sound on, I'll have a good time.
If you need to stop actually watching Speed Racer but continue listening to it, more power to you. I'm right there with you. But I think from a story standpoint, it was brilliant because it was, in my opinion,
get on the mic, please.
It was my opinion.
This podcast brought to you by Pickup Patterns.
This podcast is brought to you by Quiet Tone.
Also, I'll tell you to do it, and then you'll be like,
And then I'll hover away.
No, you'll do that. You'll go quieter though. You'll get in front of the mic.
Anybody's
you'll
looking
get
to be a
quiet.
boom op for the Poorly Edited Podcast, we
please.
could use one for Josh.
Yeah, we just need someone to put a mic in Josh's face.
We also need him to like be duct taped to the ceiling because there's literally no other place he can be in this
You mean gap
room.
tape.
Gap.
Right.
Anyway,
that might have somehow been the nerdiest high five on this podcast.
I think so.
Oh,
I
trust
think we
me, if you
made
get me
it.
talking about film, it'll get worse.
Anyway, so Speed Racer.
Speed Racer. I grew up watching the original manga on, I think it was Boomerang that I started watching it on. Which,
Boomerang was a spot back in the
yeah,
day.
it was awesome. And I was like a kid and was watching it, and I fell in love with the show. And when the movie came out, there was a significant amount of backlash for it just because of how crazy it looks.
Did they make the main character white?
Yeah, they did. No, they 100% did. I had to remember back because it's been a while, but no, they did 100%. That's probably one of the biggest pitfalls. Really, is that they kind of
It seems to be constant
watched it.
when adapted animes.
100%. Yeah, all the time. I mean, like Ghost in the Shell even and stuff too. Other.
It's probably because I think what might be a lot of their reasoning is that they usually, I don't think they adapt animes for people in Japan. I don't think they have ever done that. I don't think they've ever been like,
thing.
yeah, they've never taken a manga and been like, this needs to be a live action movie for the audience it's already kind of playing towards.
Right.
So then for some reason they think that means that they need Scarlett Johansson to be in Ghost in the Shell.
I guess, yeah. Either way, I mean, yeah, like regardless of the audience thing, I do think it's an issue. But other than that, though, in my opinion, it's one of the best adaptations of from manga to silver screen. I think that they were like true to form, like wrote out each character exactly like they needed to be in relation to the manga, and I think that it was like they did an amazing job of taking an entire series and just condensing it into a single like arc on film. Because the whole point of Speed Racer is he's like an underdog constantly, but he's like, oh, he's like better at driving than everybody else, and that's kind of the whole show, is that people are constantly trying to steal the secrets of the Mach 5 or whatever. And there are like paid like mercenaries that drive vehicles for some reason, and it's a really funny concept. But they did such a good job at like adapting that for the movies, and it was really well cast, and it was wonderfully written in my opinion. And going back to the issues, it was a visually insane. Like it kind of hurts you to watch it the first couple times or 5 times or whatever. But it also came out the same weekend as Iron Man. Yeah, and so it was kind of rough right away because
the thing was screwed.
Yeah, from day one it was kind of screwed.
To be fair, Iron Man shouldn't have been as good as it was anyway.
Really, you think?
No, they didn't have a script for that movie going in.
They didn't. It was all improv.
Yeah, it was all Jon Favreau and
Whoa.
Robert Downey Jr.
Hold up. Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that
So
movie.
honestly,
That
Like,
movie's
I think they
great.
had the overall scheme, but they just had.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this is gonna go on. Let's just play it out.
On paper, Speed Racer probably could have gone up against Iron Man, but Iron Man just had for no reason.
Had
was
Jon Favreau,
really
Robert
good.
Downey
Yeah.
Jr.
Yeah.
Like somehow those two people managed to carry that movie.
For the editor, can we cut out Pat saying that Speed Racer can stand up against Iron Man and send it to me to my private
on
link, please?
paper. On paper. If you're like, here's this movie that didn't have a script going in and filmed mostly improv, and then here's this thing that I'm guessing had slightly more prep than that. I don't know.
Slightly,
based
maybe.
on a
Was it like heavily CG?
Oh goodness me!
Yeah.
It was.
That's a lot of years and money.
Yes, it was. It was a very expensive movie for sure, and it didn't make it back at all.
No, of course not.
Did not make it back.
At least all the people who worked on it got paid.
That's true.
Wait, so that's the basis of the best movie ever argument? Is it the writing? The writing was good. The adaptation was good.
Well, you also have to understand too that like it depends on the person as well, because
That's true.
I'm in the perfect sort of headspace to love the movie because from like a film, like from like a technical standpoint, they did a marvelous job adapting it. It is the best adaptation I've ever seen, and also from the standpoint of being just a fan of Speed Racer as well. They really, it was just fan service the entire way through, and they did it very well. So from those two standpoints, it's a brilliant movie, and it actually made me cry the first time I watched it.
Really?
It did. I actually cried.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny, what's the best movie you've ever seen in your life? And is it
Holy-
also Speed Racer?
No.
All right, moving
I
on.
need to think of that.
All
I don't know.
here's a different game. Name a better movie than Speed Racer.
Oh, that's easy. Trying to think of which one I'm going to go with. But
Just pick any.
Blade Runner 2039.
All right, that does.
2049, sorry.
Well,
Even Blade Runner 2039, which isn't a movie, is somehow better than
Yeah.
Speed Racer.
Probably more about or as much CG and still does better.
I wanted to bring up actually, you recently graduated from Full Sail, right? Was
Yes,
that
I
like
did.
last year or something like that?
It was March.
So, what? Because like there's this big thing with film kids where like They don't know if they need to go to school. They don't know if
You don't.
they're- Right. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, sort of maybe. Some people will just go for the associates. Like, what made you decide after getting your associates that you wanted to continue? You mentioned that you were kind of a film nerd. Was it just that you wanted
Very
to be in
much.
that environment and kind of like really get down and study, or what was that?
I really wanted to learn just how the industry actually did it, just because like before I knew how to edit, I knew how to shoot roughly. And I felt like I knew a lot about it coming out of L-Tri-C. And then when I got to Full Sail, I immediately learned I knew nothing. I had no idea how complex the lighting setups were, like the different shooting modes they do, how much detail goes into blocking talent, like positioning the art department, like how many different people are working in unison at once on a production to really make that happen, and just the whole studio hierarchy. I thought the director was the one who was operating the camera, but no, it's actually either a DP or a camera operator. They even have a separate guy on focus. They have one guy on exposure. They have 5 or 6 guys on lighting. And it's all just a very structured, almost business-like way to run a production. And I immediately fell in love with it. I definitely found my home in editorial and camera department, specifically in the position of DIT, digital imaging technician, where you're coloring the footage as it comes in. So that way you kind of have a finished look coming off of the project. And yeah, that's a long answer to your question, but yeah, it was mostly because I really wanted to learn how those studios operated, and it blew my mind.
But it seems like film's the kind of thing where you can have like, you do the classic move of writing a script and then selling it to a studio for like $1 or whatever, as long as you're director or whatever. You want to take that route, which has worked for, wasn't it Steven Spielberg or something? Or was that James?
That was Rocky. No, that was Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, he did it too.
No, I'm Sylvester Stallone, but yeah, Rocky.
I think I think a couple people have done that for some reason. I mean,
Spielberg just worked his way up from TV shows to. There's a really good documentary on Spielberg on HBO. Highly recommend it. But yeah, he basically just kept going there and trying to pitch himself until eventually they're like, okay, we'll let you try on a studio on our TV show, and they're like, yeah, he'll fail at this. So Spielberg was like, okay, I'm going to be the best I can. I'm going to get all productions done on time and everything, and the show never did better when he was on it. Then he got a few movie gigs and made Jaws. Wow. The rest is history.
So what do you say to people then? Because you said it yourself, like you don't need to go, but you found it to be such a valuable experience.
I think that there are, like, it's hard to say because I really did value my experience there, but I do think that it doesn't have to be the way that I learned. I mean, that's just the way I like and I fell in love with. But if you have a camera, you have some lights, you have a bunch of friends who are willing to help you out, like you can make your own movies and you can rewrite the playbook yourself. There's no right way to make a movie. But
as long as the product is good at the end.
Of course. That's the most important part, that the product's good. Just make sure your audio doesn't suck, make sure that your lighting doesn't suck, and you're gonna do pretty well. Also, make sure you have good actors too, because
you have the potential to do pretty well.
You have the potential to do well technically.
Yeah.
The directing is the hardest part, though. You got to make sure your actors are actually giving off realistic performances. But I think if you get a camera and play around with it, like Casey Neistat didn't go to film school. He just figured it out on his own. Bernie Burns didn't go to film school either. He literally said, well, I'm going to learn how to make a movie by making a movie, and just kept making these short films, and then eventually made Red versus Blue.
So it sounds like it's a very personal thing, that it really just depends on who you are as an individual and what route you want to take. Is that kind of a good way to
definitely
explain that? Okay, cool.
I do think, though, that I definitely learned a lot in my time at Full Sail, and I hope that I can continue. Like, I'm already working for a company now. Well, my dad, I'm back to working for my dad's company, Digital Feast. Just thought I'd plug them right there. But yeah, I actually do want to start putting what I learned to use in short films later on. I just have to find time where I'm free from work. Yeah. That's been the toughest part. But hopefully... what's up?
Did growing up around that environment with your dad, like that had to have been part of...
I was making stop motion Transformer videos when I was 11.
Exactly. Okay. So
that's where everyone starts, though.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. So that was pretty much the origin then.
Yeah, but even before that, I would watch movies and I would just I would have these fantasies as a kid. Like, I wanted to make the kid version of that movie. I saw Inspector Gadget and I wanted to figure out how to make sets out of cardboard, use my dad's camcorder, and just make that happen. But of course, it never happened because I didn't know where to even start on that.
That's a hard one to do. There's a lot of moving parts with getting Inspector Gadget on the screen.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that editing existed. Remember when I learned in...
You got to do it all live. They're like, dude, we got one shot at this. We got to just make it right.
Like, I learned in 6th grade what editing was, and I was like,
Yeah.
This is a part of film that I just was always confused about. I could do anything. That was literally like my reaction. I got iMovie like a few months later, and I just got going.
And here we are. All right, we're gonna take another break. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Who's intro? You want
I don't want to do this anymore.
Who's Zach's introing?
Yeah. Okay.
And we're back. The Potato Podcast. We're gonna. So right now, Memorial Day is next weekend.
Actually,
So
when this comes out,
Memorial Day
it'll be on Memorial Day.
What was it? Monday?
That was a
Is
great
it
Memorial
Monday?
Day, guys,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
It was great. Good time.
Don't want to break the immersion.
yeah.
I figured I'd test you. So I'm going to give you an America movie quiz. It's the working title. You have to get at least an 80%, or you're all.
I've been confused about this for an hour and a half.
You've all been kicked
Is
out.
it patriotic movies or is it movies made in America?
Dude, you're asking the wrong questions.
Okay.
A lot of movies are made in
It's
America.
movies. Pat and I came up with this list. It's movies where you're like, America. What do Americans like, pretty much?
I have a
Kinda.
question.
Yeah,
What if you're not American?
Josh, this is actually for your green card. So you guys collectively
All right,
have
guys.
to do it.
It was good being here.
We'll just talk about City of God in a bit.
No, this shouldn't be that hard. You're all Americans, so all right. This first
That's
one.
what you think. We're about to find out.
My family fought in the Revolutionary War.
All right, this first one has is Jeff Goldblum in this movie?
Oh my god.
Okay. Sure, if you want to.
All right. It has Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith.
Independence Day.
Nice.
That's one for Kenny.
All right. This movie actually stars Sylvester Stallone.
Rocky.
There we go. See, we're doing great, guys. You're all
That could have been
American.
so many movies. It could have been
Exactly,
Rambo.
but it's America. I mean, yes.
All right.
I'm currently
This
more
movie-
American than Zach.
This movie.
Hey, you're not more American than me.
I'm gonna just start saying this quote, and it's just who's faster at this point. Okay. Life is
Box of chocolates at Forrest Gump.
Well, this is supposed to be cooperative, so you could all be Americans still, but it's turned into a competition somehow.
I thought it was
so,
competition. I'm
I
sorry.
thought it was a competition too. I was
all right.
about
So I guess
to-
we're competing to see who gets to stay in the country.
This is not looking good
We'll
for
keep
me.
you in the country, man.
Wait, so Josh is 2, Kenny's at 1, Zach's at nothing.
I don't know. You were so
All
quick
right,
with that.
this star is my favorite American, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Terminator.
No.
Predator.
Yes.
I need more information. It's too many movies.
And you may ask
Just
what
said the
what-
actor's name.
You may
Wait, I
ask.
gotta take that back. Kindergarten Cop. It had to be that. Had to be that.
Oh, it was Predator.
Okay.
You may ask what Predator has to do with being American. I don't know. I just thought of like America, and that's what popped
They're
into my
soldiers,
head. It's the
aren't they?
first one. They're mercenaries.
I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in a while. It's not that great. I'll be honest.
This is the one that popped into my head immediately for some reason. But
Scream.
It has nothing to do with America. All right. Bruce Willis.
Die Hard.
Yes.
See,
I am so getting deported, man. This is not good.
Josh and Kenny are tied, right?
3 each,
2.
2 each.
I mean, yeah.
No, it was 3 each.
I
No,
have
you were-
2.
Oh, then
How many have we done? 1, 2,
Pat?
3, 4, 5. Okay, never mind. It's 2
Okay.
each. And you have 1. Okay. This one is about 2 guys in a prison and Rita
Shawshank.
Hayworth. Yes.
Oh, nice.
I've learned to start guessing.
This one we all watched in high school, probably. And
American Pie.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm on the right one.
Wait, during high school or in high school?
In high school. Yeah. No, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
a
more,
little
but
bit more.
Kenny's puzzled face threw me off.
Inquisitive face.
Okay, Ryan Gosling's in it, right? About a football team. Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. About a football team.
Oh, Remember the Titans?
Yes. Ryan Gosling's
I was trying to remember the name of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, this is so
I never seen
close.
that, actually.
Ryan Gosling's in that movie?
He's the skinny hot kid.
He always is.
Clearly that
Really?
helps.
Oh, no. How are we going to get him this? I don't believe that he was in it. What? I'm checking
How
that.
many do you have left?
Can I get 2 points if he wasn't in it for guessing American?
Yeah,
Remember
if
the
you
Titans?
somehow... Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Dude, he's like 15th build. This is a Western that I've never seen in my life. Has Clint Eastwood in it, I think.
That's so many
I was
westerns.
gonna say it's a lot.
Right, but guess one.
Good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Is it 4 and 3 right now? Okay, wow.
Dude, you're getting deported, Zach. It's
Alright, that's fine.
You've been mathematically eliminated.
You'll take
I'll
his
start packing my
citizenship.
bag. Yeah.
This is one, if you know Chandler really well, it's one of his favorite movies as a kid with Judy Garland, you know? They go to a green place.
A what place?
A green place.
Oh, man.
You may remember the state of Kansas.
There's a lion in it.
Wizard of Oz.
Oh, no. I was about to say that.
How
I
is
didn't,
that
I didn't know her name.
How is that the hardest one? How did we get?
Do you not know who Judy Garland is?
How did we get Predator on the first, second try, and we didn't get Wizard of Oz? All right, this last one I think really encapsulates America. I forget who's the dude who does it. I don't know. It involves McDonald's and
the founder.
no,
Good movie. Good movie.
no. This is I don't want to say worse movie. It's a very different movie. You know the guy?
No, but a guy goes to McDonald's every day and eats McDonald's every day.
Super Size Me.
I didn't know documentaries were on this.
Hey, dude, it's America. You can
I
do
got
whatever you want
2
here.
points.
Zach's 2/10th an American citizen. Josh is who won? I think Kenny won.
Kenny
right?
won with 5, I think. Wow.
Wow.
Kenny's
great.
got.
God bless America.
So that's all I got, and that took literally 3 minutes. So.
All right. Well, doing well.
Isn't that weird though? That somehow when I'm like I'm gonna do a quiz about Memorial Day in America. My mind immediately went to movies that did nothing to do with America, but just made me
I was
think of
expecting
America.
soldier movies.
That's
or
what I'm
something.
like that.
I was
but,
like,
yeah.
Saving Private Ryan. We were soldiers.
Except how is that? I don't know. I feel like there should have
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw. I don't get what'd you
Hacksaw
say?
Ridge.
We should have taken Kenny's quiz.
Yeah, we should. Kenny, you want to do your quiz?
You got to give me some time to make up a list.
We only got 6 minutes left in this podcast. I don't know if that's.
I don't know.
gonna
That's not enough time.
happen.
I would make it hard.
Of course you would. Hey, mine was hard.
What would you say was the most important thing that you learned at Full Sail that you don't think, or maybe you think it would have taken a really long time to figure out on your own?
The hardest thing I learned at Full Sail, the necessity for efficiency. Like a lot of people, when you go on their short films and stuff that haven't gone to film school, it's like you're there for hours. You don't really get a lot done, and they're all focused on getting it right. But on Full Sail, they teach us okay, you ever shoot today? You have 12 hours. You have to get 48 shots. They all have to be properly lit, and after 12 hours, we kick you out. That's how it really is when you shoot on a location. You can't overstay your welcome. You have to be able to work quickly. That's one thing Spielberg always gets right. People are shocked at how quickly he moves. And it's all about getting things done on time. And the rest of it is just respecting studio hierarchy. You don't go up to the director and say, I think I could do this better. Because that just will throw him off and slow things down. It's all different things, working almost like a military unit. You have your higher ups, the camera team answers to the DP, the art department answers to the art director. And only 4 people can actually talk to the director during production. Otherwise, it's considered to be unprofessional. It's the script soup, the DP, the first AD, and I keep forgetting the last one. VTR and editors and DIT. Anyone who's working with stuff in post on there also can talk to the director and say, hey, we're missing coverage. But
It's actually what we're going to start doing around here. And so if any of you guys want to bid on who's allowed to talk to Chandler,
I'd like to opt out.
I'd
actually.
rather opt out.
that
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
what I was going to suggest. So.
So it's on you, Josh, I guess. It's crazy. It's crazy how there's huge scale art things that should be that you'd think would be really just about passion and stuff, or really fueled by just like anything else and just a business.
I just remembered another thing. The other thing that shocked me was being on set is not meant to be creative at all. Mm-hmm. You're creative when you write it and when you plan it out. When you get there, it's oh, you got a new idea. No, don't do it.
It's your
your first AD is going to hate you because they're
yeah.
making the schedule.
At a certain point, you don't get to be creative anymore, and it was or you're just doing someone else's creativity. It's not your own. But that's just kind of where you're at, but you're still contributing though.
Yeah. You kind of feel you kind of go from more of an artist to more of a craftsman with a little bit of art thrown in. And I kind of felt like that's what I became later on, but I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it because it felt like I was doing hard work. It felt like I was contributing to something. And I liked that at the end of it, people still wanted to work with me because I knew there were a lot of people I didn't want to work with after some projects.
Yeah, I'm guessing that would break down pretty quick, huh? If you're on set for 12 hours with somebody and if they're
12 hours... back to back 3 days.
Yeah.
You get up, you just go to sleep and then get up and come back. Sometimes wearing the same clothes.
Well, I guess it helps you weed out kind of who are the most dedicated individuals, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because like right away, like from the start, you're like, okay, well, these are the people that aren't gonna actually like get things done or stick to what their role is, and so they're weeded out like almost immediately. So in a way, I would imagine that's actually pretty good.
It's good afterwards.
Right.
Once you realize it, you're like,
Right.
well, I'm stuck with this person
Right.
unless we can annoy them enough to leave.
Just to leave it. Yep.
But then we need someone else to do their position.
We have to wrap this up,
I
unfortunately.
think that's pretty much it.
That's it.
Kenny, I don't know if there's anything you want to shout out. Maybe if you have some personal projects going on or anything like that, or
Nothing
maybe
that's
just pop an Instagram
written
or something.
yet. I mean, my Instagram is at Unangst. That's KDUNANGST on Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my professional stuff. My personal is only for you guys.
Okay.
So sorry, listeners.
Yeah.
I'll sell it to you if you DM me.
Yeah. That's not true. You said writing. So do you have something in the works?
I have one script that's written called To the Airport. It's about an Uber driver that robs people after taking them to their destination because he goes straight back to their house because no one's home. And I definitely want to do a Hotline Miami fan film, and I have a crime movie I really would like to make, but I want to work up to that because that's going to be really complex.
Do you know Chandler held a Hotline Miami world record?
Yeah, I want to work with Chandler on it.
Okay. Yeah.
I told him about it. He's psyched.
That's great. Okay.
Love that game.
You want to replug stuff?
Yeah. Lab 212 on everything. You can check out the podcast.
Just so the listeners know, me and my friend Sam Jabenko made working in the Lab 212, and Ultra IC cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my founder's plaque.
Wow. Okay.
Once we get a plaque, you'll be
Yeah.
you'll be the first plaque, dude.
Just a painting with me and Sam just saying, when it just says in gold, our founders.
All right. Whatever. Sure. Yeah.
If you want to fund it, dude, we can make it happen.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Lab 212 on everything, YouTube, all that stuff. You can like and subscribe if you
Also
actually
watch
want
the
to.
show with no point.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Come on. Where are we? Okay. That's a
Oh, and
discussion
check
for
out the
another
YouTube
time.
channel Tired Pants. I hear the vlogs coming back.
Yeah. Comment your least favorite thing about Chandler, and the winner will get nothing. So there's some.
The winner will get Chandler.
The
Winner will get a date with Chandler.
I think that's pretty much it.
Lizzy can come too.
Kenny, thanks so much for stopping by. Josh,
anytime.
thanks so much for stopping in.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's been a pleasure. That's pretty much it. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye.
See you next week.